Hi, hello guys, my name is Mia Marie and you are currently watching my Synastry Compatibility series where I go through all the 12 signs, sun signs, and how they get along. Now, as a general disclaimer, we reference so much more than just the sun sign for compatibility, but the importance of the sun and understanding someone's sun sign and accepting it and supporting it is that the sun sign describes the motives, the behaviors, the experiences that contribute to someone's sense of sanity. So we're not talking so much about what someone needs emotionally or how they flirt or what makes them great in bed, all of those very, romantic topics. We're talking about how to support someone's vitality, someone's sense of self, and someone's healing human journey. So keep in mind that this is just a gentle introduction, and you can get so much more by booking a session with me or another fantastic astrologer. Those who are born with their sun in Cancer came into this world wanting to bring the soul into form. They may not think about it that way, but they see the oneness in everything. Literally, from the carrot, the vegetable, to a rabbit, an animal, from an animal to a human to a culture, from one culture to another culture. Everything is a life worth protecting and nourishing and loving. Cancer is represented as the mother in astrology, the womb. And what do we see when we look at a womb? We see something that is protective, something that is supportive. And so you have that quality with Cancer where they want to create a sense of security in the external world. They're represented by the crab, that tough shell that protects that tender meat inside. That's exactly what a Cancer is like. And if you've ever heard of Cancer, then you know what that shield feels like, because they will go inside of themselves. They will shut you off. You cannot penetrate that shell without truly breaking them, but it's nearly impossible. Another thing about the shell is that it's their home. They carry their home on their back, and it's hard for them to put things down. We're thinking about those little crabby hands. Whether it's things, they can't let go of things, they can't let go of old lovers. They want to collect everything because they've chosen that thing for a specific reason. And another quality to Taurus, to Cancer, is that they want to experience what love looks like long-term with a partner, with a family member, with a pet. They're willing to see it through. They're emotionally equipped and programmed for the trials and tribulations that come with sticking with someone for the long haul, the long run. I mean, as we all know, our family members are sometimes the people that make us want to pull our hair out. Now, I'm not talking about toxic relationships where you should distance yourself from family. I'm just talking about the normal family trials and tribulations. My mom is irritating me. My dad is a handful. My siblings are this and that. Cancer is the person that says, you know what, but we're blood and I love you. And obviously it's still safe, right? It's safe to love you, but we have to change things. Let's work on this. That's what Cancer is focused on. It's also ruled by the moon. And just like in real life, the moon affects the ocean directly. And so Cancerians have that quality to when they're feeling a specific way, they are not trying to emotionally manipulate you, though they're not above that, but they're not trying to make you feel a certain way. It's just when they are glowing like that, they are going to pull you into their emotions because that is the exchange of energy that you guys are partaking in. Pure, undisturbed Cancer energy is sensitive and introverted. And how this manifests is if you're at a party or if you're at their house, probably. If you're at their house and they're hosting, they, without you knowing, are taking intel on everything about you. Your vibe, your tone, your posture, what you're wearing. They want to know where you are emotionally, and they won't say anything to you. They're just like, okay, noted. Oh, I noticed that. Oh, that's interesting. And they'll let you repeat the pattern. And after it happens a couple of times, they might come over and give you a hug, but they're not going to confront you. They're not confrontational. They would much rather things come out in a soft way, naturally, when you're ready. If they're concerned about you, then they will, make you dinner, or they'll take you out somewhere, and then they'll talk about it. But it won't be like, whoa, they're not all up in your face like that. They want you to feel completely yourself. And something I've noticed about Sun in Cancer is that they have strong career aspirations. They perform well at work. And it's not because they love their job, though oftentimes they do. It's because what their job does for their family or their sense of security or their quality of life. They want to be providers. They want to be the person that anyone in their family or their life can go to when they need any type of support, emotional, financial. They are the mother. Now let's talk about some deal breakers. Cancer will not like if you disapprove of or discourage them spending time with their family or chosen few. They like making their rounds. They like spending time with their friends. They like spending time with their family. They will make a point to spend time with their family, their kids, their parents. It's important to them and their sense of self. Their sanity hinges on their ability to stay connected to their community emotionally. The second thing that they dislike is black and white thinking to the point where you prize separation, because you have to think about it, right? They see the oneness in everything. They see the connectedness in everything. They see love everywhere they look. And so if you're someone who swears on this being that way and this being that way, Cancer is going to feel turned off. Come on, be better. Speaking solely to the sun sign, Cancer's love language is probably quality time, acts of service. They like when they're with you for you to be present with them. You're not on your phone, you're not distracted with something else. They like the exchange of bonding and sharing an experience together. And the way that they love you is they do things for you. They do your laundry, they make you food, they pack your lunch, they clean the house, they tidy things up. That's their way of saying, like, I'm paying attention to what you need, and because all these things are handled, life is easier for us all. You know you're in hot water and deep water with Cancer when they shut off. When all you see is the shell. They don't give two fucks how you're doing, how you're holding yourself, what you're saying, what you're doing, if you're comfortable, if you're fed. Suddenly you've just fallen off their radar and they're moody towards you. In fact, when they do speak towards you, the emotional intelligence comes out and they know how to arouse a specific reaction. They are calculating in the way that they're talking to you. Everything becomes like just duty. The opposite sign is what comes out, Capricorn. So the Capricorn expression is there really is little heart, and it's all about, well, we have to talk because we're business partners, or we have to talk because I am in some way, shape, and form related to you, but they're cold, they're distant and detached. So in whole, a sun in Cancer is emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware, sensitive, receptive, nurturing, protective, and they're focused on sustaining something for its entire life. Whether it's a plant, a vegetable, a relationship, they're the best lovers. Someone who is born with their sun in Pisces has a soul that came to this earth to break down all barriers that stand in the way of oneness. Now, Pisces has a reputation of not having boundaries or lacking boundaries or having porous boundaries. And when you hold in mind what their goal is, it kind of makes sense that it's hard for them to throw up that wall because it flies in the face of what they stand for. They want to bring love and unity to everything. It's a very gentle, loving, accepting soul and energy. Now, this doesn't mean they don't need boundaries, but it means that there's going to be resistance towards them. Once you explain to a Pisces that boundaries exist to protect them and to shield them, it can act as a barrier between people's energy and them. Then they'll be a little bit more on board with the program. Pisces is ruled by two planets, traditionally Jupiter, and modern day says Neptune. So you will find two different types of Pisces characters. A Jupiterian Pisces, it has a similar energy to Sagittarius, where they're expansive and big and larger than life, but it's via their emotions. And they are a little bit more positive than what you would expect. They want to play, they want to have fun. The other Neptunian Pisces is more introverted. The first one is extroverted. This one is introverted. It wants to look on the inner world, not the outer world, and it wants to expand there. And they're a little bit more reserved. They're focused on like their artwork behind closed doors and their poetry and the ways in which they love themselves. It's kind of like they take that same energy that Sagittarius would in the external world and they project it in their home space, in their private life. And with Neptune Pisces, you often see someone who has almost Capricornian expressions where they fall prey to depression because they get stuck in themselves. They get stuck in their own stories, and the depression manifests. And when depression shows up in someone's life, it's the soul saying, like, I don't want to play this role anymore. I don't want to be involved in this life anymore. And at that point, when you have that awareness, then Pisces can adjust their schedule and use their energy in different ways to erase the depression that they're currently managing. So keep that in mind. Which type of Pisces do you have? A Jupiterian Pisces or a Neptunian? Pisces is a water sign. It's the eldest water sign, but it's also the most sensitive and the most vulnerable. And the easiest way I can explain it is by the symbol for Pisces. It's a fish. A fish has no protective layer. It goes with the flow. It has no choice unless it's swimming upstream, exhausting itself, trying to fight the flow of life. But Scorpio has that stinger. Cancer has the crab shells and those little crabby hands to protect itself. Pisces is out in the open. It is the depository for the collective emotion. Now, they're not going to think about it that way. You're not going to think about it that way. In fact, a lot of what they're processing isn't something that's directly happened to them. Oftentimes, you'll find that when a Pisces is weighed down or they're feeling a strange mood for a reason that they can't explain, it's because of something that's happening out in the world. Now, when this happens, it's important that Pisces meditates because that is the safest, healthiest way for them to process their emotions. The alternative is that they're paying attention so closely to what's happening. They're paying attention to the mood, the vibes, the smells, the way that you're carrying yourself. They're paying attention to all the things that you aren't saying and try to integrate what you are saying. And it creates this glazed over look as if they're daydreaming. But really, they're collecting so much information that you are not even willingly communicating to them. Now, when this happens, it can create a feeling of overwhelm and they need to leave the room. They are an introverted sign. Specifically, just Sun in Pisces is an introverted sign. And so what it will do in those instances is it will literally escape the room. But then once it's in its own room, it will either meditate and process the emotion, or it will escape through some kind of substance. So smoking, drinking, being on the computer for hours on end, watching TV mindlessly, to the point where they're getting lost though. And so you can create this habit of constant escapism to the point where you're never really rooted or grounded. And so when I say meditation for Pisces, I don't mean, doing yoga, your fingers are like this, you're like, in yoga pants, so religious about your practice. That works too. But what I'm saying is you need to bring yourself into a brain state where you can close the door, sit with yourself, and just feel and rinse. It's this internal process of you letting the waters that don't belong to you just whoosh, go right off your body. So Pisces are mystics. They're mild, right? They go with the flow. Now, because Pisces is a mutable sign, and this is true for all mutable signs, it's equally as important to look at where the sun is placed, like which house it's placed in, because the house will greatly affect this changeable energy. It will give it a more concrete flavor. But just purely Pisces energy is kind of a let go and let God type attitude. And what they're here to do is to develop a relationship with spirit. It could be religious, it could be spiritual, it could be whatever it is, but they are constantly striving to reach spiritual enlightenment. And the way they do that is by taking care of their body, taking care of themselves, but arriving to that space where they can prioritize themselves and their health before others. It's a journey. So this is someone who in relationships is willing to make the sacrifices to show up. They are caring, they're empathetic, they are good with emotions. They can sit with you when you are expressing, like they can see the most terrible behavior and not judge you because they see through to what you are made of, what your soul is, and how much you're struggling. And so Pisces can find themselves in situations with people who are dangerous or the bad boy. And they have this kind of phenomenon. This is true with Pisces men too, where they like the damsel in distress. They like saving somebody. And with women, it's like, well, if I just show up in this way, and if I just do this, then they'll change, and then the bad boy will be saved. The men are like, here's this damsel in distress. I'm going to help her because she needs me. And so that language can exist with a relationship with the sun in Pisces. So, being the eldest water sign, they have the qualities and strengths of Cancer and Scorpio, but they're not focused on themselves. They're not specifically focused on one on one relationships. They're focused on humanity, the universe, the ethers. They're going as large and as big as you can imagine. They're leaving this plane in so many different ways. And so, some deal breakers for a Pisces character is if you judge or if you try and stand in the way of their spiritual development. Now, I said earlier that they are sacrificing when it comes to relationships. This is not one of those areas where they're going to be sacrificing. A developed Pisces, if you are standing in the way of their spiritual journey, they will cut you off, because that is what gives them fuel. That's what keeps them sane. And so if you're not supportive of whatever philosophy, astrology, right before you hello, they're going to be turned off. They're going to think you're closed-minded, and they will feel unaccepted. And what makes that even worse is that they are so accepting that when it's not mirrored back to them, it makes it easier for them to step away. Another thing they don't like is if you're disrespectful to other people or if you treat other people poorly, specifically people who don't have the same resources that you have. So if you're rude to marginalized groups of people, or if you treat homeless people poorly or as if they're less than, they don't see, or they don't, they see it, but they don't subscribe to like the hierarchy that people are better than others. In their mind, everyone is the same. They're not going to bow to someone because of a specific title. They understand that when you walk out of your workplace, you guys are just humans face to face. And so if you insist that they take on the beliefs and that you subscribe to what the rest of society is doing, they're also going to turn away from you. And similar to that, if you are someone who lives and dies by your schedule, if you just do to do, if you want your day booked from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, Pisces is going to be repulsed by you in some way, shape, and form, because you're not taking care of yourself. There is no spiritual life there. You're just functioning to function, and you're forgetting to live and to exist. And Pisces needs the flexibility in a schedule in their day to go with the flow, because their feelings change. Sometimes inspiration hits them at the most spontaneous time. And if you are like, no, you said you would be here and we have to do this and this and this and this, they're going to feel as if their creativity is being squandered. Like you're taking away something quite precious, and it is precious for them. It's kind of hard to tell when you have reached a deal breaker with Pisces, because they're not so confrontational, specifically just Sun in Pisces, all other aspects ignored. They're not confrontational in that way. They don't want to feel uncomfortable. It's more of like a silent, I got it. This is who you are. These are the decisions that you make. And they will just not make time for you, or they won't show up, or they'll cancel last minute. They show that they care with their presence. And so if they continuously reject your opportunity or your bid for attention, it's either that they are avoiding reality in general because they're dealing with something privately that they're probably not explaining to you, or you've just kind of left a sour taste in their mouth and they don't want to spend time with you. But overall, Pisces are really sweet, accepting lovers. And the gift that they bring to you is some kind of like spiritual awakening, or some invitation to go higher, to elevate, to escape this reality that is so prominent and overwhelming. I will say, two fish, opposite directions. Pisces are known, similar to Gemini, they're known to have multiple marriages because they just change quite frequently. And there is this fickle quality and emotional instability, kind of like the ocean, always changing in and out, in and out. There is this quality to them. But that aside, it's not a reflection of you. That aside, when they are there and when they are with you, they want to gift you with whatever they have. That's just the way they are. Cancer and Pisces, naturally these two will gravitate towards each other because there is mutual understanding and shared interest. They kind of view the world from a similar lens, although slightly different. So to begin with, they're both water signs, which means that they are, as energy, introverted. Now, you might see someone who's extroverted if they have say a Cancer with Gemini placements or a Pisces with Aries placements. But if we're just talking specifically about the sun sign, these are two people whose sanity hinges on them being able to come home and recharge. When a water sign wakes up in the morning, they feel fresh and ready to go. And the moment they step outside the door, they're draining their energy. So these people are going to be on the same track or in the same rhythm. They can probably dance really well together in life and there won't be a problem. If one person starts to feel tired, the other person will understand why, and you just won't have conflicts as it relates to energy and the reservoir of energy. Now, the difference between Cancer and Pisces is that they use their emotions in different ways. They are focused on different things. Cancer is focused on what's happening in its immediate environment, like its family or what's happening at work or with its group of friends. And so it's going to be paying attention to, is everyone fed, nourished, healthy? Is everyone taken care of? How does everyone feel? Where is everyone at? And it will show up as the mother figure in that way. That is essential to Cancer. Cancer wants to see that relationships develop. Pisces is more spiritual. It's focused on going up. And so it's universally focused. Astrology, tarot, spirituality, yoga, how the world is doing on a collective level, people who are marginalized or people who have less than. Pisces will have a desire to pay attention to those groups, larger groups. And so what you'll see with these two, because Cancer is an initiator and focused on the immediate environment, Cancer is a leader, it's in the here and now, and Pisces is a mutable sign, it's flexible, it flows, it's about endings. This relationship can lack structure because there's no fixed energy between the two of them. Cancer is starting things all the time, and Pisces is trying to finish things all the time. And so because there is mutual trust and understanding, they don't plan specifically when they're going to hang out or what time they're going to stop hanging out. They just trust in the flow of energy and that they will end up back together. So it may be helpful for them to make concrete plans and make an effort to, create a fixed schedule. Otherwise, they cannot see each other for quite some time. Not that it negatively impacts them, but just, for the overall quality of life, it's always nice to hang out with people in person. When Cancer and Pisces go out to a social event, or when Pisces comes over to a party that Cancer is probably throwing, because like I said, they're focused on themselves in respect to groups, and so they'll often have parties and yummy food. Pisces and Cancer are going to be paying attention to the same things unintentionally. It's like their brains are wired to pay attention to how people are doing, the tone of their voice, the way that they're dressed, their posture. They're reading into everything that people aren't saying. And the difference is Cancer will sit there and observe and take notes and be like, okay. Pisces will get overwhelmed because Cancer has that shell. And so what you'll see is that Pisces tends to wiggle away during the party. And I think that Cancer naturally understands that because they've probably been taking emotional intel on their friend or their lover for quite some time. And so there will be a different approach to the way they socialize. But once everybody leaves and they come back together, they're going to start talking about how everyone is doing and what they observed and what they noticed. And for the most part, it will be similar. They will have the same observations, but they will have different opinions about that. And oftentimes the opinions that they share with one another will expand the perspective of the other. So that's very beneficial. They become masters of water topics together. Emotions, vibe, spirit, things like that. Cancer can also be very protective over Pisces. Again, Pisces doesn't have the shell or the shield, but it will be in a more covert or subtle way. Cancer may sit them down and listen to Pisces as they, weep their woes or cry or whatever, and give advice on how to solve the problem. They will mother Pisces. Once prompted, though, only once prompted. And Pisces can help Cancer because Pisces is unmoved by the emotional storms of the person that they are in a relationship or that they're close with. And sometimes Cancer has just had enough. Sometimes they've withdrawn and they've gone in their shell and they're not willing to talk about something because they feel so incredibly vulnerable. And Pisces will be that one person that they will open up to, because it's comfortable energy. These are also people who can communicate without speaking. They can look across the room, and it's almost like you can feel, as a water sign myself, it's like you can feel when something is happening with your counterpart. It's like, wait, or, oh, you're not okay, or like, this is irritating, oh. And so you guys can have conversations from across the room, which is really just quite beautiful and nice. There's a natural sense of safety and security within this relationship, but also trust. Once the relationship starts going, all of the water fears like jealousy or being abandoned or being misunderstood or any of the lower functioning water qualities don't seem to be as prominent when you're with a water sign, because you can just sense it, you can feel it, and being seen and being accepted in that way assuages relationship anxieties that could appear with other relationship dynamics. Another thing that I will say is when these two are communicating, they will probably use fewer words because they are so in touch with each other's emotions that they don't have to spend a lot of time explaining what happened and how it made them feel and who was paying attention, because again, they're programmed in a similar way. And so there is less energy that you have to exert in order to connect, which is nice. Now, some problem areas. Cancer can be a little bit, or they can feel left out, or they can feel as if Pisces is just unavailable, because sometimes Pisces, not needing other people as much as Cancer does, can get lost in their own world or their own hobbies or their own projects. They may not want to leave a room. They might want to just be alone. And Cancer is very understanding about that. But when it happens repeatedly, Cancer can kind of feel like, hello, I'm here. I miss you. I love you. I need you. And so if Pisces continues to be fickle, fake, and phony with plans, and Cancer is very understanding of that, then it can create distance between them, or a lot of time can pass by, and it's usually because of Pisces' inability to manage time, really, time and energy. Another problem area, or something to discuss or meditate on, is that Pisces can be protective over Cancer in a way that Cancer doesn't even know. So Pisces goes very deep and very high, and sometimes it goes so deep and the emotions are so overwhelming and they go to such scary places in their mind that they actually will not tell Cancer what's going on. And it's not because they don't think they can handle it. It's not because they don't trust them. It's not because they don't value them. Sometimes it's because they don't have the language for it. And other times it's because they don't want to cause harm. Pisces goes into some pretty twisted spaces sometimes, depending on what's happening in life. And they don't, out of love, want to drag someone into that space. And it could be because, they don't want to take accountability for the troubling things that they're going through, or they don't want to scare Cancer. But there can be this hidden life that Cancer knows very little about. And in turn, there could be this one part of Pisces' personality that Cancer has no idea exists. And so I wouldn't say that Pisces typically does like tons of damage there, but it's just not something that they will openly advertise in their relationship with a Cancer. Here's this delicate person who is in service to so many people. And I find it to be a more protective mechanism on Pisces' part. But yeah, overall, this is a truly lovely match. These two people are of the same song. They're paying attention to the same things. They can share things with one another about what the other is interested in, and it naturally will widen the other person's perspective. I find this to be a loving, comfy, cozy, and understanding relationship. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. So if you would like to know more than this one aspect in your relationship, there are like 2,000 and something, then book a reading with me or another astrologer that you trust. You can find me at wellandrising.com/services. $2.